Hello, students. Good morning. Here your teacher Dalsy. And as you know, we are on chapter number 3rd of unit 1st, that is human reproduction. So, as we have done the topic, the spermatogenesis and the oogenesis in the last lecture, so today we are going to start up with the structure of ovum. Then we will discuss the structure of sperm, then how the ovum differentiates from the sperm and the ovum, then what is the difference between the sperm and the semen. And in this way, in today's lecture, we will discuss number of topics which are not too broad to discuss, but they have the content that is necessary to discuss. It includes the content that is quite important from your neat and theoretical point of view. So, as the picture represents, the first diagram for today is the structure of ovum. So, what the ovum is? Ovum is maternal haploid, means it is the haploid gamete produced by the female, and it is primarily concerned with receiving the sperm, means if it receives the sperm only then the fertilization will take place and the new baby will develop. So, in multicellular organisms, it is necessary to undergo the fertilization. For that, necessary point is the production of gamete. As you know, we have done two types of processes of development of offsprings. First is via fertilization, second is via parthenogenesis. In both the processes, necessary point is the formation of the female gamete, that is known as the ovum or the ova. Okay, so it is with the ovum, it is the kind of gamete which has its reserve food with it, and it is very genetically programmed, means its genetic constitution is very determined, that is haploid, and also it contains some kind of reserve food which is absent in the spermatozoa. So it is the basic difference between the ovum and the sperm. So now we come to the structure of the ovum. The ovum is generally a spherical, non-motile gamete with yolky cytoplasm, means in its cytoplasm a protein, yolk protein is present, and it is enclosed by number of envelopes. Okay, now we come to the human egg primarily. The human egg is microlacithal, means the amount of yolk is very less in human egg with large amount of cytoplasm, while the amount of cytoplasm is very high. The cytoplasm of the egg is differentiated into two layers. The outermost is known as exoplasm or egg cortex, and inner one is known as endoplasm or ooplasm. Okay, so the egg cortex comprises of the cytoskeletal structures like the microtubules and microfilaments. They provide the strength or rigidity and framework to the egg. In the endoplasmic region or the ooplasm, number of cell organelles are present, which in which nucleus is the major organelle, and in egg number of germinal vesicles are present. Okay, so nucleus is eccentric in position, it means it is not at the center, it is from the peripheral point of view. So important point about the egg is it has two poles. First one is animal pole, second one is the vegetal pole. As you know, during oogenesis, polar bodies are produced. On the side on which these polar bodies are present, that side of the egg is known as the animal pole. And the side of egg which is just opposite to this the polar body, that side of egg is known as vegetal pole. You must definitely get a question from the animal pole and the vegetal pole. Animal pole is the pole which is on the side of the polar bodies, and vegetal pole is the pole which is opposite to the presence of the polar bodies. Okay, now come to the diagram. It comprises of the envelopes. Usually three envelopes are present. First one is the vitelline membrane, second one is zona pellucida, third one is corona radiata. The vitelline membrane, it is the inner thin transparent membrane which is secreted by ovum itself. So it is the innermost layer. Then followed by the vitelline membrane, a layer is present that is known as the zona pellucida. It is middle, it is thick, it is transparent, it is non-cellular matrix of glycoprotein. As you know from class 11th, glycoproteins are special kind of proteins which are known as heteropolysaccharides. It is secreted particularly by, means halfly by, partially by the follicular cells and partly by the oocyte, means it is produced by two kind of cells. Third layer is known as corona radiata. It is the outer thicker coat that is formed by radially arranged cell. As is shown in diagram, these are granular kind of cells which surround the egg, and they are responsible for ensuring the fertilization. So between the vitelline membrane and the zona pellucida, there is a space known as perivitelline space that is necessary for the insurance of single sperm entry with the female ova. Okay, so these are the necessary point about the ova. You must know about the animal pole, about the vegetal pole, about the exoplasm, about the endoplasm, about the nucleus, about the vitelline membrane, zona pellucida, corona radiata, and the plasma membrane, so that you can define each and every part's function of the ova. Now, the next point is about the structure of the spermatozoon. So first of all, we must know that what the spermatozoon is. Spermatozoon is a haploid male gamete whose primary function is to fuse with the female ova to ensure the transmission of the parental character into the offspring. Now we are on the structure. So the structure of male gamete is very small. It is very small in structure. It is motile, so it carry a flagella. It is microscopic, and it is that kind of gamete which do not carry any kind of reserve material. This is the basic difference between the ova and the sperm, that the ova carries the reserve material, reserve food for its growth, while the spermatozoon do not carry any kind of reserve material for its growth. And all the other organelles are also absent in the sperm except the mitochondria, which provide mobility to the moving sperm. Now, basically the body of the sperm, it is divided into four parts. First one is known as head, second one is neck, third one is middle piece, and fourth one is tail. So head is the structure which comprises of two parts, the nucleus and the acrosome. Okay, in the nucleus, and what is nucleus first? It is generally a long, means elongated in shape, pointed structure which carry the genetic material. Means this is the structure necessary for transmission of character of a parent father to the offspring. Okay, so other one is the acrosome. It is nothing, it is a cap-like structure which is present at the tip of nucleus, and it is the foremost part of the human sperm. Okay, it is formed by the accumulation of vesicles secreted by Golgi complex. We will discuss later in the process of differentiation of spermatozoon that how the Golgi complex vesicles, they settle down themselves at the head of the nucleus to form the acrosome. In the acrosome region, number of the enzymes including hyaluronidase are present, which ensure the penetration of the sperm into the ova cytoplasm. Because if the sperm will not penetrate into the corona radiata layer of the egg, it will not fertilize with the egg. So for that, some certain kind of enzymes are necessary. Out of those enzymes, hyaluronidase is the most important one. Next part is the neck. It is just a kind of tissue where the mitochondrial spiral of the middle piece it start to originate. It usually carries two centrioles which have 9+0 arrangement, as I told you in class 11th. Okay, so it is just perpendicular. Two centrioles are proximal centriole and the distal centriole. Distal centriole is the kind of centriole from which a long distal longitudinal axis of the sperm originate. Centrioles are necessary for the division of the zygote. Means ova doesn't carry any kind of the centriole for division, and you know, for the animal cell, if you want to divide the animal cell, necessary characteristics are the presence of centriole. Those centrioles are present in the neck region of the human sperm. Okay, nextly, distal centriole, it act as a basal body and it give rise to the axoneme, the sheath from which the number of spindle fiber originate, which ensure the formation of the middle piece sheath. Next we come to the middle piece. It lies behind the neck. It is cylindrical in shape. It carries the mitochondrial spiral. Okay, it carries the mitochondrial spiral which provide energy for the movement of the sperm. Okay, next is the kind of layer that is known as nimbuncan, that is present around the proximal part of the axoneme. Nimbuncan is the kind of layer that is present around the proximal part of the axoneme. Then mitochondrial spiral make it the powerhouse of the sperm. Middle piece is known as powerhouse because in this area number of mitochondria are present. Next one, you will definitely get a definition from Manschette's membrane. So what is Manschette membrane? It is the membrane which covered up the neck region, nucleus, half of the nucleus region and middle piece of the sperm. So the layer which cover up or surrounds the half of the nucleus, neck region and the middle piece of the sperm, that sheath is known as the Manschette's membrane. Last part of the sperm is the tail. It is longest part of the sperm. It is cylindrical in shape and tapering in the arrangement. It carries two parts, the axoneme and the protoplasmic sheath, which help them to swim in the female genitalia. It is formed by the centriole that carries with the 9 proteins arrangement 9 plus 2. So the end part, which is without any axoneme of the sperm, is known as the end piece, and the viability of the sperm ensures the capability of the sperm to fertilize the egg. Okay. The next topic is the difference or comparison between the sperm and the ovum. So as you know, sperm is known as the male gamete and the ovum is known as the female gamete. Sperm is produced in the testes, ovums are produced in the ovaries. Both are produced throughout the period of the puberty, but the testes are functional throughout puberty, but ovaries are not functional throughout the life. They are functional only up to the menopause. Next is the size. The size of egg is very large in comparison to the sperm. The size of sperm is just 0.01 to 0.05 mm long, while the size of sperm ovum is quite large. It is about 0.10 mm in diameter. Number is also very high of the sperm, as I told you, while only one egg is produced during the period of 28 days of the menstrual flow. And the next point is about the mobility. The sperms are mobile and they have the tendency to vigorously swim in the vagina and to fertilize the ova, but ova do not carry this kind of capability to mobilize. Okay. Next is the how many next difference, as you shown on your diagram or the screen, that how many of egg participate in fertilization. As you know, only one egg participate during one menstrual cycle, while the number of sperm is about 250 to 280 million per ejaculation. Size is larger of egg, size of small sperm is very smaller. Ploidy is both haploid, but in female the meiosis second is incomplete up to the period when the fertilization takes place, while this kind of condition is just absent in that of a sperm. Number of mitochondria is about 100 to 2 lakh in the egg, while it is just 75 to 100 in sperm. Even those sperms are not passed on to the offspring. The mitochondria in an offspring are always of the mother. So we can say that mitochondria show the maternal inheritance only, not the paternal. Our mitochondria always resemble with our mother, not with our father. Special features: the presence of zona pellucida, that is outermost layer, corona radiata, the enzyme carrying packets within cell, and many more. While in the sperm, the tail is present to mobilize mitochondria, spiral is present in the middle piece to provide the energy, and the acrosome is present to ensure the fertilization. So next are the diagrams, and these diagrams I have explained you already in the previous diagram. So the last topic for today is about the differentiation undergone by the human sperm to convert up into the spermatids into the spermatozoon. The conversion of spermatid into the spermatozoon, as is shown on your diagram, it is very complex. First of all, the Golgi complex, it start to deposit at one end or one tip of the nucleus. In this way, the acrosomal cap, it start to develop. Okay, and then the mitochondria, they start to accumulate. With the accumulation of the Golgi complex at the tip of the nucleus, the elongation of the acrosomal cap, it takes place. Okay. So this elongation is necessary for the appearance of acrosomal head. With this, the spermatid nucleus, it becomes elongated in shape, and with this elongation, development of flagellum starts. As soon as the flagella develop, the excessive cytoplasm, it start to disappear from the middle piece region, and the mitochondria, they start to deposit only at the middle piece region and leaving the nucleus and acrosomal region free of the cytoplasm and the mitochondrial spiral. In this way, the excess cytoplasm, it degenerate, nucleus become completely elongated, acrosome become deposited at one end of the nucleus, mitochondrial spiral, it appears in the middle piece of the sperm, and then the tail or the flagellum, it develop fully to give rise to the tail or end piece appearance of the sperm. So in this way, spermiogenesis is not too easy, as I told you yesterday. It is completely a complex process, and you must memorize that what kind of changes occur during the spermiogenesis. It starts from the conversion of the Golgi complex into the acrosomal cap, then development of flagellum, which ensures the degeneration of the excessive cytoplasm of the egg and movement of mitochondria only at the region of middle piece, and disappearance of excessive cytoplasm at the end of the spermiogenesis result in formation of a functional and well developed spermatozoa. So this is all for today. In next video, we will discuss some another topic related to this. And please keep in mind that you have to see the difference between the semen and the sperm. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Thank you.